I will never pipe down when I'm right. No one likes to be right. No one likes to pipe up more. Here's the thing, though. They'll tell you when you're wrong. They'll take laps on you when you're wrong. They'll let you know, get back into the kitchen. This take was wrong, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm never going to be allowed to forget my wrong takes, I'm never going to let you forget my right ones. And that's where we're at. So before we dig into who the Toronto Raptors are, let's take a look, folks, at my prediction on this podcast, October 10th, 2021, on what I said about the Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors, they could be a 3 seed or they could be a 10 seed. They're back in Toronto. This team was number 2 in the Eastern Conference before the league shut down. Number 2 in the Eastern Conference in March 2020. I love what Masai Ujiri does. They got rid of Kyle Lowry, who is coming up on a contract extension. He's way too old. They got Scotty Barnes. Now you've got Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Boucher, Gary Trent Jr., Precious Achiuwa. Every guy is somewhere between 6'5" and 6'9". I love that. They're going to be able to get matchups that they like. They're going to be able to switch everything. They're going to be able to play defense. They're going to be able to shoot. Don't sleep on them. If they can get their chemistry back and Pascal Siakam's not cussing out Nick Nurse on the sidelines, then they could actually, sneak their way in. I don't sleep on Nick Nurse. Probably one of the best coach teams in the league, and now that they're home, they are going to be a surprise. People think they're going to be a 12. I think they're closer to a 6.
And that's exactly what they fucking are right now. 5-6 seed, folks. 5-6 seed. Yes, I said the Raptors would be a sleeper team. I kept that same energy when they stumbled at the blocks. They were in 12th place on December 12th, 2021, but I did not waver. I would not waver, and loyalty is rewarded. And in this case, the Raptors are maybe the most dangerous team in the East. 5th seed right now, staring down a matchup with Philly, where Thibault is, he's on the injury report, but I can't really seem to figure out what ineligible to play means. I think it means he's unvaccinated, and he can't take his ass to Canada pretty much until he does. And you need 2 weeks after you get the shot in order to be fully vaccinated. So it appears that if they see each other in the first round or in the second round, it's going to be trouble. And James Harden, by the way, averaging just 18 a game over his last 10 and has looked pretty much awful. And add in the fact that Toronto's 2-1 against the Sixers this year, including beating a fully healthy Sixers team in Philadelphia just 3 weeks ago, 93-88. This matchup is not something that the Raptors are going to fear. They held Harden to 16. They held Embiid to 21 on just 6 of 20 shooting. You might think to yourself, because I did, how are they going to stop Embiid? Well, they triple-teamed him, got in his head. Remember, Nick Nurse held Embiid out, got in his head in that playoffs with Kawhi when they ended up going to Game 7 and Kawhi hit that insane shot. They're going to make everyone else beat them. They're going to basically blitz Joel, make James be a catch-and-shooter, make Danny Green catch and shoot, and guess what? Tobias and George Nang not up to the task, folks. The Raptors are dangerous. Not because they just run a set of the same guys out, 6'7" to 6'9", at you all day, all night. They've got 6 guys that are basically all the same. Not just because they might be the best coach team in the East. They're dangerous because they've got an identity. And after the bubble and a year in exile, Masai Ujiri said that threatened to set the team back 5 years. This is a team that knows who they are, and that makes them potent. Remember, the Raptors were projected to win an absurd number of games at 35 and a half. 35 and a half was fucking disrespectful. And when they sucked bad out of the gate, everybody wrote them off. That was a mistake, it turns out. Around the All-Star break, they've turned things around, in part because the 5 starters, Siakam, Van Fleet, Trent, Anunoby, and super rookie Scotty Barnes, who averaged more minutes actually per game than any other starting 5 in the NBA. But this team actually really started cooking when their bench started making moves. Thad Young, that they got in the trade at the deadline, Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, they all started contributing off the bench, and now they've got an 8-man rotation instead of a 5 to 6-man rotation. Add in the fact that there are teams that are going to be majorly hamstrung crossing the border. Boston currently has 2 players, front court, that are unvaccinated. Brooklyn famously has Kyrie, and now it turns out that Thibault, the unsung hero in the Sixers defense, not been vaccinated as well. So all of these teams face matchups against the Raptors with a serious disadvantage. The way that things are setting up, it looks like Philly versus Toronto in the first round, with the Raptors when they win in 6 facing the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, I know it might be the Miami Heat, which granted is not an ideal matchup for Toronto, but if the Nets get it together, they'll end up playing 3, maybe 4 games in Toronto without Kyrie. I like the Raptors in that spot, which means Toronto could easily be in the Eastern Conference Finals, possibly facing the presumptive favorites in the East, the Boston Celtics, who, like I said, have 2 unnamed, for now, starting players that are unvaccinated. See how this all shakes out? Canada, best home court advantage in the NBA. Do not sleep on these Raptors. They might be the biggest surprise of the playoffs.